All right, joining us today, our guest out of Perth, an Aquinas graduate, and more than anything, an ex-professional wakeboarder. He's an athlete. He's a zippy mid-forward wing. He's good-looking. He's gorgeous. We love him. It's Baxter Philip. Baxter, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad. I'm happy to have got you on. How are you feeling coming into this? I guess bit of podcast stuff. You haven't done too much of this, I assume.
Nah, this is my first podcast, so great to be on the show.
We'll have a bit of fun, mate. Well, we'll get stuck into it because, first of all, we'll get rid of the footy stuff. We want to talk the wakeboarding because it's something that you've actually done very, very well at. It's not just a hobby, is it?
It wasn't just a hobby.
It wasn't just a hobby, but go back to how it first started.
Well, it was just my sister's best mate. Her dad got me into it. We went down the dam one day, down to Aruna, and just got up on the wakeboard. Then he got a proper wakeboarding boat. Landed a few flips. So landed my first flip in Orlando, actually, America, with one of the professionals over there. And then just took it from there. Started competing nationally. Went Melbourne, all that stuff for it twice. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Now, when we had a chat about this after one of our first meetings, you said you took a bit of dosh home from it. We won't get into the exact figures. We don't want people to know just how rich you are, but it was in the hundreds of thousands, I heard. Now, I guess, how do you get into doing that competitively? Because in my head, I didn't even realise wakeboarding could be a competitive thing, and then you started, going in depth about it. How do you progress to a point where you're actually making money and earning things out of wakeboarding?
Is it in the X Games?
It is.
It is, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. So if the AFL career's done, we'll see in the X Games.
Yeah.
But tell us how you guess, came to profit off of wakeboarding.
Well, so just the state comps, so the WA comps, all the people in WA that wakeboard compete against each other. Like there's different divisions. Like I'm in the open division, so best of the best.
Yeah.
And then so after that, you can choose pretty much to go to nationals and stuff because wakeboard WA is pretty small, but
I did see in one of them there was 8 or 9 competitors in one of the things that you were ranked on. Is it like tens of people? Is it 20s, 50s? How many people do you get competing?
There's probably about 50 people in WA that do it.
Yeah.
Over in Queensland and stuff, there's heaps more. They get hundreds of people. But then national comps come to probably 200 people maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so best in Australia.
And it's straight to wakeboarding? You don't start at kneeboarding or anything like that?
Oh, I mean, I have kneeboard, but not.
Kneeboarding's for children.
Yeah.
I did kneeboarding. I'm just trying to put that in there.
He came out the womb of man and straight into wakeboarding. None of this kneeboarding shit. Now, as far as coolest experiences go through wakeboarding, I'm sure you said you were wakeboarding in Orlando. You've done national competitions. What's the coolest thing that you ever did throughout your wakeboarding career?
Well, probably when I first started in Orlando, just riding with one of the greats, Sean Murray. He was a big influence on me.
The GOAT, really.
Yeah, he was the GOAT back in the day, and he taught me everything, and he taught me pretty much how to ride a wakeboard to this day.
Madman Murray, they call him, pretty sure.
Yeah, no.
That's what I'm pretty sure they call him.
Yeah, from my experience of watching lots of wakeboarding, sure that is the case.
Yeah.
And look, obviously, when you got such a large talent in that space and also a fair bit of passion for footy as well, was it tough to, throw in the wakeboard? Did you do that, or do you still do it as a little bit of a hobby?
Oh, I haven't done it much this year, just because this year's a big year for footy.
Yeah, of course.
But I've been pretty much advised not to wakeboard anymore because
Too good.
it'll put my footy in.
There'll be no one.
Ever since, was it Ollie Wines that did it?
Shoulder.
Ever since Ollie Wines, it's just been banned from it. It's on the list of banned things you can do as an AFL
so
player.
Ollie Wine's actually pretty good wakeboarder. He can flip and all that stuff.
Yeah, well.
So I haven't wakeboarded much. I wakeboarded twice maybe this year. I wakeboarded at a big comp in WA called Action Sports Games down in Mandurah. That was the last time I wakeboarded. That was back in April. So yeah.
Just had to give it up, and what a loss for wakeboarding that is. But we'll get off wakeboarding. We've had enough chat. It's a very cool thing you do have, but we'll talk about your footy. It's why you're here now. As far as talents go through, I guess, the draft and the draft rankings, you're a bit of a different one to a lot of people. Not only because of your wakeboarding, but also, I guess, your junior career. It's a bit more, not as well known about. You consider a bloke like a Jed Hagen, who's played more state games than we've had hot dinners, then you come in and, weren't in the state squad or anything like that this year. Tell us a bit about your junior footy career, I guess, fill in the gaps for us that we wouldn't know about.
So I started my junior career at Rossmoyne, just playing juniors there since Auskick. Made my way through the ranks, went to East Freo actually for my 14s. Didn't like it at East Freo, so I went to Perth because my granddad played for Perth. He's played a few games, a couple premierships as well. Nice. So went to Perth. Found my place at Perth. Like thought I belonged there. Played futures, 15s, and then last year I played actually an overage future just because I was playing PSA. They wanted to give me more game time, and then came into the Colts late in the season. And then played a whole year of Colts, and then PSA footy. I played first at PSA. I played seconds in year 11. And then came into the Perth program as an 18-year-old Colt, pretty much, for my third game or something. And then played Colts throughout all this year, and then played 2 Resi's games, and ended up playing 2 league games as well. So
yeah.
And going into this year, you would have set some goals, no doubt. I mean, you played some pretty good footy, PSA footy, some futures games in there as well. What was set at the start of the year for you in terms of goals?
Yeah, so I sat down with Chris Main actually at the start of the year. We had this 8 of us group development program, and he picked up the people that he knew that they could go all the way. I just sat down and said, look, my goal is to play league football this year. That was my main goal, but just little small goals other than that, just get through the season uninjured, stuff like that. And end up playing league, which achieved my goal, so I was happy with that.
Yeah, now looking, I guess, a bit more at your PSA career. Now, you said you're in the 2 still in year 11, so I guess, you've really come on in leaps and bounds in the past couple of years. Yeah. But tell us a bit about, I guess, the footy you were playing at PSA level. Were you one of the players like Connor, who we just had in earlier, who's, the big name, constantly dominating, or were you sort of just a bit of a lesser-known role player, just happy to be there sort of thing during your PSA days?
Yeah, I was definitely a lesser-known role player. I was playing on a wing. I played every single game on a wing there. But, it was weird, playing 2s in year 11, getting picked up for the 1s in year 12, and just being there all season, just playing on that wing, just as a role player. I wasn't a big name or anything. We had the Corey Warners and the Jesse Motlops.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. And obviously going into this year, as you mentioned, you set some goals. But, I mean, we talked to Connor before about Aquinas and what that's done for him and looking up to the older boys. What were some of the boys that you saw getting around the school that you looked up to?
Oh, I definitely looked up to, back in when I was in, year 9 maybe, Jeremy Sharp and boys like that. Chad Warner, he was also... Dev Robinson played at Perth as well.
A few boys to look up to there.
Yeah.
Take your pick.
Yeah, so they weren't big influences on me, but I just wanted to
be like them.
Follow them.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, from what we gathered again, just coming on in leaps and bounds these past, I guess especially this year, your relationship to state footy, maybe the start of this year it wasn't even in your mind at all, but given the very hot run of form that you had to start the year, did you have any conversations at all with anyone about state footy, whether it's state coaches, Perth coaches, and what it is that you needed to do to crack into it, or was that just not even in the conversation?
Yeah, so what happened was during the preseason games, I was getting looked at during the preseason games, and then after the Peel Thunder game, I got COVID, lost 10 kilos.
Oh, my Jesus.
Jeez.
Yeah, I lost 10 kilos with COVID.
Bit nice, actually.
Oh, I mean, maybe not in those shoes. I don't think he had 10 kilos to lose.
Yeah, so I was just known as this little skinny kid now. And ever since that, there wasn't even conversation to putting me in. And
that's rough, 10 kilos. Have you managed to put them all back on and be out this year?
I'm back now.
How long did it take?
Oh,
would have been a fair setback.
If you could have reached out to us, we could have done that in 2 or 3 weeks for you.
Because you're playing, during the season, it's freaking hard to put on weight.
Oh, a lot of running.
Yeah. And I just struggled with it, and then that was my downside, and it still is my downside. Just trying to put on weight is hard for me.
Now, obviously, the state side didn't work out for you, but how did that affect your confidence in the way that you played and your ability on the footy field? Did it make you waver at all?
Yeah, obviously, I was pretty disappointed with it. Yeah. Didn't make it. But I guess that just proved to me that I could show them that I could actually play footy, show AFL clubs that I can play football, playing league games. Not many people in the state team played league games this year, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially considering your hot form to the season. You know, you had first 5 games, you averaged 20 a game, a goal a game. Like, when you're having that sort of form, is there any, I guess, resentment or anything towards the state side for the fact that you're playing such good footy, and not to throw anyone under the bus that is in that state squad, but you're playing better footy than a lot of those boys were in those first 5 rounds of the season? Is there any, I guess, feeling of resentment or frustration, like, what more do I have to do?
Yeah, there was. Definitely. Because Connor got put in late, after that game, I was like, well, what more can I do? Like, I don't know what else I can do. But Connor was the best decision for him, and good on him. But yeah, there was definitely a bit of frustration there that I didn't.
Yeah, you just hated Connor. You were just trying to take his legs out at Perth training after
Had a voodoo doll of him.
Yeah, snap an ankle or something at Perth training and clean him in the head.
I was like over the moon for Connor. He deserves it. He put in the hard work. He absolutely deserved it.
It's a strange sort of environment, is it? Because you're all blokes who want to play good footy together, but you've also got to think about yourself individually in a lot of ways to improve yourself and prove yourself to, I guess, you know, AFL clubs and your coaches and whatnot. How do you find that? And is that talked about much within the footy circles about that, I guess, that fine line between the team and the individual?
Yeah, there definitely is some talk about that. But, like, I just want to play the best football that I can with my team.
Yeah.
And, like, Perth aren't obviously in a great spot at the moment, so I just want to get, if I could get Perth, like, up the ranks, like, improving, just, yeah, so.
Doing your bit.
Doing my bit that I can help everyone, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, now, you weren't, I guess, very much spoken about prospect at all this year. You know, the first thing that I could ever see being written about you was back in round 3 when some real genius from Rookie Me called you a genuine draft smoky. So, you know, since then... that was me, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, you know...
Was that Swan District game?
Yeah. And that was the first sentence I wrote about it. So,
Right. Good one.
So you're welcome. And I hope people now respect my opinions about the draft a bit more. But, you know, again, about you're not really spoken about, you know, you've got those sort of things, but they're just like... You know, who cares about who's writing them? You're not spoken about in the big media or anything like that. There's nothing about you as a draft prospect. Yep. So what does it feel like when you first hear from an AFL club, given you aren't really spoken about at all?
Well, when my manager came and said, look, an AFL club wants to actually come and talk to you, I was like, well, like, holy crap. It was, like, pretty surreal for me. And me and my family, they just came over and just talked to me. Like, my family were pretty shocked, like. And then the next one I had, Dad was actually away in the UK, and we had to like put him on FaceTime to like talk and like.
Oh, so your parents had to be a part of it.
Yeah. So we had a few meetings, and yeah, it was just surreal for really like.
What they have to say?
Not much. Just,
Not much.
just ask about yourself and what's like. How do you do stuff like? What's your attitude like and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Now, we touched on that league footy a bit. You know, through all your great performances this year, you did manage to get that elevation up to the top level. What's it like going up there? You know, we mentioned that you are that lighter frame. You were already, 10 kilos behind where you were starting from, so it was a bit tougher. But being that lighter frame especially, how did you find that step up to playing senior level footy?
Well, the step up from Coastal Reserves wasn't too bad. Like, I found Resi's pretty easy, like, cope, like, settled in my first game, and then I played the first league game against West Coast, and I was like, this isn't actually that bad. Like, it's a nice class. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
And then we played Subi the next week, and I was like, holy, like,
they are
a good team.
Because West Coast are a tough one, because it's like, you don't want to slander them, but at the end of the day, they're not really a great waffle team just because of...
One win this year?
Yeah, the chops and changes that go into that side, but you still managed to snag a goal against them, so still counts goal against AFL opposition.
Absolutely, take that.
Yeah, so when I played Subi, they were just flicking hands, like, so quick. Like, there was no time to slack off. Like, you had to be on your man or your man's gone. Like,
yeah.
So what's the main thing you took away from that league experience then?
I guess, like, just knowing the level that I have to be at. Like, I know that playing AFL is the step up from league footy, and like, if I can just play some good league games, if I don't get picked up, like, that'll show AFL clubs that I can, like, I guess, get to the next level, like, improve. And
Now, although you did miss out on the state opportunity, you've, blasted, I guess, all the footy that you played out of the water. You played sensational. It resulted in you getting a state combine call-up, which is just, more than a lot of blokes can say. How did you feel heading into that to receive that invitation and I guess that recognition and reward for effort, and I guess especially yourself knowing how much of an athlete you are, knowing how much you could really show off in that combine?
Yeah, so the national combine invitations got released like a few weeks before ours, and there was like not as many people as I thought there was going to be. And then so I thought, well, maybe they'll get like a state combine invite, like this and that. And then I got a text from Adam Jones, the WA state manager, saying, look, you boys have been invited to the state combine. And that was pretty... I was at work at the time and I was like, showed my boss. I was like, look at this. Like, he's all for my footy.
Told him you quit. Like, see you later.
I'm off. And yeah, so I called Dad, was like, look, I just got invited to state combine. He's like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, just not playing state footy and getting that invitation means that, like, they're actually looking. Like,
Yeah.
And how'd you feel like you went?
Oh, I felt I went pretty well.
I think it was top 2 for
pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I finished top 2 for everything. Won all the...
Could have been better.
Won all the
top 1.
Won all the vertical jump stuff and then finished top 2 for everything else, so...
Where does that come from? Are your parents athletes?
Mum was a netballer. Dad played gridiron back in the UK when he lived over there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I hate people like you. Just great at everything. Pretty sure you played some district cricket when you were younger as well.
Yeah, I played Wilson district
Yeah,
cricket back in the day,
just like...
that was only 14s maybe.
Yeah, still the worst possible bloke. I resent you for that. Now, off the back of that combine, obviously you performed amazing. You'd had great footy to back that up. Was there any extra interest? Were there any new clubs that sort of came out of the woodworks from seeing you in the combine? And, you know, was there, I guess, a bit more interest shown from the clubs that already had spoken to you off the back of that?
Yeah, so I spoke to a few of the clubs that I've already spoken to at the combine, like after it. And then apparently I've had a few phone calls from different clubs through my manager and stuff. So, yeah.
Okay. So you felt pretty good after that?
Yeah, I felt pretty good.
Yeah, nice.
Felt that I put my best foot forward and did my best.
Yep, absolutely. And obviously your name starts popping up. How'd that make you feel?
Yeah, definitely. It went through the media a bit after all the results got released. The AFL released the results. They wrote up an article about me. Like, yeah, so it was a bit like, wow, like people were looking like...
Just seeing your face out
yeah,
there.
like I got a big page in the newspaper. Like, it was just weird. Like,
yeah.
Like
people coming up asking you for photos?
Oh, not yet, but...
I asked for one last night, actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
Didn't
Wow.
get one.
Stiff.
Nah, I didn't ask.
I was about to say.
I asked for one. I got it. I'll show you the
right.
photo.
Yeah,
That was weeks ago. So that was a day before we recorded, I believe, or the week
It
before.
was just at
recorded.
Kings Park. We just like.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bex and I have a great photo from there. I remember one of my mates came up to me. He's a Aquinas boy, and he goes, "This was before I'd met Bax." He goes, "Oh, Baxter's here." I was like, who do we know that's called Baxter?
Jeez, you must feel like a fool now.
Well, I'd already messaged him.
Just wrote an article about
You're
me.
a
Doesn't even know
fool.
who I am.
Yeah, well, he just said Baxter, and I was like, who do we both know that's called Baxter?
You
I didn't know
know
he knew
Baxter.
you. And then you pulled out. I was like, oh.
Hey, looked at him, he's like, Baxter.
Yeah, pretty much it. I was, elated to say the least. Now, talking about the WA media, there's a common one, and we were having this chat sort of off camera with some other people, but I guess how much the WA media actually do know, or how much they're just sort of guessing and filling in the gaps. You're linked to West Coast a lot. You know, there's a lot about you going to West Coast. How much of that is
Pretty
actually...
much confirmed.
Yeah, it's
according
confirmed.
to the media.
You're, from,
Well
what
done, congratulations.
from what I've read, rookie draft, pick 7, if not preseason train on. But no, like, from everything they're writing, I guess from your perspective, how do you perceive what they're writing? Like, how do you feel about what they're writing? And how much of it is the truth, or is something that you actually have been told or have heard is a possibility? How much of it is just them guessing?
Yeah, look, like, I haven't actually personally spoken to West Coast.
Yeah,
wow.
so they're just jumping.
Yeah, so, but I guess I try not to look at it like, it's all fake media and stuff like that.
Okay.
But it is fake media, fake news.
Some of it is, some of it's not. Like,
Yeah.
I try not to get my head wrapped around it. And
Do you ever decide to like comment on any of the articles and just say wrong in all caps?
nah, I don't. I just leave it there, whatever. Just,
Yeah.
they can read it. Then
Yeah.
yeah.
We get the clicks. Now, 2 weeks out, how are you feeling?
Oh, not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty
Have you got
excited.
anything planned for it?
Nah, nothing planned.
No.
Just chill at home.
Yeah,
probably.
okay. With the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Now, you look back on it all this year, it's obviously been a whirlwind year for you. You can't really change much about dropping 10 kilos through COVID, but with the benefit of hindsight, is there anything I guess you changed to your approach in the pre-season or earlier in the season or even in early games of, I guess, the work you were putting in or the way you would try to, play on the field? Or is there anything you change with hindsight?
No, I thought it went pretty well personally. Like, I had more, because I wasn't at school, I had more time to prepare and more time to do things and, like, more time to go to the gym, stuff like that. So I thought I put my head over it pretty much and, yeah, it went pretty well. So.
All right, well, Bax, that's all we've got for you. Thank you for coming in today. It's been absolutely great. Really enjoyed having you over the course of this year. And look, hopefully those medias were right.
Congratulations on being drafted to West
going
Coast.
to West Coast in the rookie draft. But regardless of what they say, hopefully we do see you ending up somewhere at the back of this draft. And if not, we're always here with open arms.
Yep. Cheers, boys.